Hi again, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. I have a lesson for you today that has been requested more than once, if I remember correctly. And we are going to look at how to use the unreal past. First of all, we'll look at what the unreal past is, and then we'll look at one by one the different constructions that can trigger the unreal past and why they do that as well. We'll look at that a little bit too. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the lesson. Before we look at the constructions which trigger the unreal past, it's a good idea just to review what the unreal past actually is. The unreal past refers to the use of the past simple or the past continuous to talk about situations that are not real in the present or the future. So, to give you a good example to demonstrate what I mean by this, if we take the common second conditional, if I were you. So obviously I can never be you, I am not you. I am speculating about an unreal situation. And to create that distance between reality and this parallel universe where I am you, I have to use the past simple. In English, we don't have another special construction to use in these situations. In some languages, they have a special verb construction to use when they are talking in the subjunctive mood, which is effectively what this is. This is not a real situation. I am speculating about something that is not real. So why don't you let me know in the comments section below if in your language you have a special construction to talk about these kinds of situations. In Spanish they do, and I know in many languages they have a special subjunctive form for these situations, but I would love to know how it works in your language. So to sum up this point, if you want to speculate about an unreal present situation, you are going to use the past simple or the past continuous. If it was a real situation, you would have used the present continuous. When you are speculating, you will go to the past continuous. For example, I wish you were coming to my party this weekend. The reality is that you are not coming to the party this weekend, but I wish you were coming. What do you do then when you want to speculate about the past, which never happened? Well, you're going to have to go back one step with that as well. So with the present, you go back to the past. And if you want to speculate about the past, then you use the past perfect simple or the past perfect continuous. We use the past perfect simple or continuous to talk about a hypothetical past that never actually happened. Some constructions which trigger the unreal past include second and third conditionals, and perhaps you are most familiar with those. If only and I wish. I'd rather or I'd sooner. It's high time, it's about time, or it's time. As if and as though. And also in polite questions and requests. So that is a general summary. Now we're going to look at each point in a little bit more detail. Okay, I'm going to start with the second and third conditionals because I would say that most people are more comfortable with conditionals than other constructions like I wish and if only. So in the second conditional, we use the past simple or the past continuous to talk about an unlikely or impossible situation in the present or future. For example, if I were you, I'd sell your house while prices are so high. So remember that with the verb to be, it's a little bit different, especially in this set phrase, if I were you. You can use was or were. For example, if I was rich, I would buy a big house. But in this expression, if I were you, it's kind of become fixed like that. And I would recommend that you use if I were you instead of if I was you. It would just sound a little bit more natural with were. And our second example is if the sun was shining, I would go to the beach. So in this situation, the reality is the sun is not shining. It's a cloudy day in reality. But in my dream, in my parallel universe, if the sun was shining, I would go to the beach. Now, in the third conditional, we use the past perfect simple or continuous to talk about a hypothetical situation in the past, which of course never actually happened. For example, if they had known about the party, they would have come. The reality is they didn't know about the party, so they didn't go. If it had been raining, they would have had to cancel the match. So the real situation was it wasn't raining, so they didn't cancel the match. But if it had been raining, they would have had to cancel the match. If you want a little bit more information about second and third conditionals, I'm going to leave an info card here, so you should see it at the top of the screen. I will also leave a link to my lesson on conditionals in the description box below, so feel free to have a look at that if you want to go into a more detail with these particular constructions. Moving on to our next constructions which trigger the unreal past, we have if only and I wish. So I wish and if only are used with the past simple or past continuous to express things we would like to be different in the present or future. I hope you're starting to see a theme here that we're always speculating about things that are not actually true. For example, she wishes she had more money. If only I could find the time to have piano lessons. Okay, in this case, I can't find the time to have piano lessons, but if only I could. Yeah, I wish I could. You can use I wish and if only interchangeably. Perhaps if only is a little bit more formal than I wish, but the meaning is the same. I wish and if only are also used with the past perfect simple or past perfect continuous to talk about things that did or didn't happen in the past, which we now regret. Yeah, we wish things had been different. For example, I wish I had studied harder at school. I didn't study hard and I now regret this. If only you had come to visit us. Yeah, I wish you had come to visit us. So again, like the conditionals, I have another lesson on I wish and if only, which goes into all of this in more detail. Like with the lesson on conditionals, I'll also leave a link to the lesson on I wish and if only in the description box below. Would rather and would sooner can also trigger the unreal past. Would rather and would sooner are used with subject plus the past simple or past continuous to express preferences in the present or future. It's really important you remember that you need a subject here. For example, I'd rather you stayed with us than in a hotel. That is my preference. My preference is that you stay with us and not in a hotel. She'd sooner he didn't call her anymore. I'm just going to leave a note here as well because I would say rather is so much more common than sooner. But you might hear it and it's good to know. But I would say most of us use rather than sooner. And there is another note. With would rather or sooner, we only use the past simple or continuous when there is a change in subject. That's really important. When there is no change in subject, we use the bare infinitive. For example, I'd rather eat in tonight. In this sentence, I am the subject of both clauses. I'm the subject of the clause with rather and the clause with eat in. So in that case, I don't need to use the past simple. I can use the bare infinitive, which remember is the infinitive without to. It would be different if there was a change in subject. For example, if we make you the subject of the second clause, it would be I'd rather you ate in. Would rather and would sooner can also be used to talk about past preferences as well, and the construction is similar. So you should use would rather or would sooner plus subject plus the past perfect simple or the past perfect continuous to talk about past preferences. For example, they'd rather you'd ask them for the money instead of getting a bank loan. Remember, the contraction there in you'd is you had asked them for the money instead of getting a bank loan. Would you rather I had spoken to you first? As you can see, we can also use would rather and would sooner to ask people about their preferences. Let's move on now to the next construction. And it's time, it's about time, it's high time. Remember, they all are used to say that something should be done now or in the very immediate future. We use the construction it's time, it's about time, it's high time with the subject and the past simple or the past continuous. About time is more emphatic than it's time, and it's high time is the most emphatic of them all. So if you want to say that something is so important, then you can say it's high time. For example, it's about time I moved out of my parents' house. It's time we were going home. Or it's high time we did something about climate change. I would say this construction is really important to know. It's great for everyday English, but also if you're planning on taking any of the exams, this construction might come up in, for example, the use of English in the Cambridge exams, or it's a really great one to try and work into your speaking exam as well. These are the second to last constructions that I have for you today that trigger the unreal past. And we have as if and as though. As if and as though are used with the past simple or the past continuous to make hypothetical comparisons about the present or future. For example, you'd never know that he's a prince because he acts as though he were just a regular person. So he's a prince. So he's not a regular person. So we have to use the unreal past. We use were as though he were just a regular person. He spends money as if he were making double what he makes. So yeah, he's spending way more than he actually earns, than he makes. As if and as though are used with the past perfect simple or continuous to make untrue hypothetical comparisons about the past. For example, it was 2 p.m., but they looked as if they had just woken up. So it's unlikely at 2 p.m. that they had just woken up. She looked as though she hadn't slept for weeks. So as if and as though don't always trigger the unreal past, only when we're making hypothetical comparisons. If we know something to be true or likely, then we use the real tense. So the present tense for present meaning and the past simple for regular past meaning. For example, compare, they look as if they are the best of friends, and they look as if they were the best of friends. In the first example, I'm using the present simple, so I think or even I know that they are best friends. In the second example, I know that they are not real friends, so I'm going to use the unreal past. I'm going to say as if they were the best of friends because I know that it's not true. It's a hypothetical comparison. And here is our last unreal past trigger, and that is making questions and requests more polite. So if you want to make your question or your request sound more polite, you can use the past simple or the past continuous. This is a great way to make things sound more polite because you're creating that distance, right, between you and the other person. We don't have an equivalent of the formal you. Many other languages have an informal you and a formal you. So we don't have that in English. So we have to use other tools to make ourselves sound more polite and more respectful. So like I say, that distance between the present and the past creates a polite distance between you and the other person. So let's look at some examples. I was wondering if you might be able to help me. Firstly, I was wondering if is a great set phrase for you to remember to automatically sound more polite. And in fact, this construction actually has two tools to sound more polite. Firstly, I was wondering, past continuous. And then you've got might be able to. So instead of saying, I was wondering if you can help me, we've used might be able to. So the use of modal verbs to sound even more polite. The second example, which particular holiday package were you considering? How much did you want to deposit today into your account? Could I be of any help to you today? And were you looking for anything in particular? Based on those contexts, you can tell that they are more formal situations where you don't know the person very well.
So a really good tool to have if you want to sound more polite when asking for something from someone who maybe you don't know very well.
That's it for today's lesson. I hope you found it interesting, useful, and enjoyable. If you did, please give the video a like. That helps me out so much. And I know many people find these constructions intimidating. So one of my biggest hopes is that this lesson has helped to improve your confidence when using these constructions. And if you'd like to take the opportunity to practice with them, then you can leave a comment in the comment section below, trying out one of these constructions, or more if you like. But that's it for today. Come back soon for a new lesson. Bye for now.